is great. The opportunity is there, and the precision of this legislation to directly address the needs of the American people, the lives of the American people, and the livelihood.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi yesterday on President Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief bill, which is set to be voted on today in the House. Joining us now, Director of the White House National Economic Council, Brian Deese. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Brian, thank you for being with us. I'm sure you've heard it. Most Republican economists, a lot of Democratic economists, including Larry Summers, fear that this bill may be too big, too much relief, and could cause inflationary pressures and add unnecessarily to the national debt. What's your response to those criticisms?
This is literally a lie, by the way, and that's how you manufacture consent. We have two different instances where the media apparatus that is supposedly liberal are immediately dunking on an issue that would hurt business owners and their profit margins, okay? It wouldn't actually hurt businesses. It would just simply hurt the gigantic multinational corporation profit margins in the United States of America. That's the only area where there is going to be a little bit of a scale back so that the wealth can trickle down for once back to the actual workers that generate the value. One was American imperialism in the form of continuing our saber rattling with Iran, a foreign adversary. Notice how the liberal institutions immediately justified actions that we are taking against Iran in fucking Syria because, you know, they deserve it. And the same exact concept works right here as well. These are ideas where there is bipartisan consensus by those in positions of power, both within the Democratic Party and also in the Republican Party. And I mean the constituencies, the real constituencies, not the average voter and their legitimate interest or their legitimate benefits that they will get out of this, but the actual constituencies, which are big businesses and small business tyrants alike. Okay? So that is precisely why you see this kind of coverage when we're talking about the $15 minimum wage increase. There is no consensus among economists that a $15 minimum wage increase by 2025 that is adjusted to each individual state and adjusted for small businesses under the purview of their own governance inside of their own states is going to destroy the American economy. As a matter of fact, the conservative congressional budget estimates show that there is this increase of $15 minimum wage is going to improve the economy, lifting millions of people out of poverty, despite the fact that in that same report, you will see that a couple million jobs may have the capacity to be lost. Why will some of those jobs be lost? Because people will have more money, so they don't have to work fucking 2 jobs. Okay? You understand? Regardless of how many jobs might be fucking lost, there is going to be millions of people lifted out of poverty. That means more disposable income for those people so that small businesses can fucking thrive because they finally have enough money to go out and buy shit. Okay? So, having said all of that, and the fact that the overwhelming majority, I would say, are either conflicted on the many benefits or the many or the potential negative consequences of increasing the minimum wage, this kind of certainty within this rhetoric, and including like fucking Larry Summers, this singular individual who made waves in after his Politico article because of how singularly he was standing in opposition to the $15 minimum wage increase, all of a sudden is the leading economist on the subject. It's fucking bullshit, okay? That's why the media is currently operating as it's supposed to, normalizing the position that the cruelty that you are subjected to as a working class individual in America, as a working poor, is normal, because the alternative is that the economy would fucking fall apart. It's bullshit. And the reality, unfortunately, is that the Democratic Party, or at least those in control of the Democratic Party at the moment, are not interested in pushing for the $15 minimum wage. They were interested in it as far as it took them when they were campaigning, but they're not necessarily actually interested in this. And that's precisely why they've decided to cave at the end of the line when we're so fucking close.
Well, good morning, Joe. Look, first, our assessment of the economic situation is that we are at a very precarious.
What a fucking pathetic display What a fucking pathetic situation that we have found ourselves in as Americans. Do you understand? As Americans, that me saying the minimum wage should be livable is actually me being a communist. Do you understand? Like, Americans look to someone saying that living wages are a necessity, okay? Like, that we should have actual living wages. They look to someone who says that, and they turn around and say, you are a fucking actual communist. It's like literally the meme that people engage in. Oh, you want healthcare? You must be a communist? Like, yeah, literally. Like, these people actually believe it. It's so pathetic. It's so stupid. It's so fucking sad.
Precarious moment. Certainly, we're all hopeful. But if you take a stock today, we are 10 million jobs down from where we were when we started this pandemic. We've got historic crises in terms of hunger and homelessness in this country. And as we look at the economic forecasts and data going forward, what we see is without decisive action, it's going to be years before we get back to a strong and healthy labor market. So we think that this is a moment where the risk of doing too little really still is outweighed by the risk of doing too much. And that's what's behind this plan. And I would say that if you look at the most economists would agree with that assessment. And then we have to go to the particulars of the plan, where getting shots in people's arms, getting schools open, getting relief out to families and small businesses, we think is all a sensible and, in fact, urgently needed priority.
So I'm sure you...
The risk of doing too much in that instance is increasing the minimum wage. That's what he's saying. Like, Larry Summers and his, like, relentless crusade against increasing the minimum wage, or all of these, like, fucking small business and big business advocates claiming that a increase in the minimum wage is going to devastate the economy. That's the risk, okay? The risk is that this will destroy the economy. This will destroy jobs, blah, blah, blah. It's all fucking bullshit, okay? This kind of reactionary fear-mongering occurs all around the world, but especially in America, all around the United States. Whenever a place democratically decides to increase their minimum wage, there is always a litany of economists who get together and act like this is going to destroy the economy. It didn't happen in fucking Seattle. It's not going to happen in Florida, who democratically voted to increase their minimum wage to $15. And it certainly did not happen to Amazon, who already was forced by Bernie Sanders and other activists to increase their wages to $15 as a minimum wage across the board. It didn't happen to fucking Costco. It didn't happen to fucking Trader Joe's. It didn't happen to fucking Starbucks. So all of these people are fucking pathetic with their lies. It's bullshit. It didn't even increase the price of commodities for most of these places. Okay? Whew.
We heard several weeks ago the Congressional Budget Office projected that the economy was going to grow by 3.75% in 2021, even if there were no relief packages coming from the Hill and the White House. That being said, that's fairly healthy growth. Why do we, given that, why do we still need to have a $1.9 trillion bill instead of saying maybe half of that?
Because we're in a historic economic hole. This pandemic has hit the economy and put us in a place where that same CBO report said that if we do nothing, it will take until the end of 2024 or 2025 to get back to pre-pandemic employment levels. And from our perspective...
Bro, they fucking hate the poor, dude. That's just it, okay? All of these motherfuckers just literally hate working class people. And no wonder Republicans abuse and weaponize the kind of disdain that you feel for liberal institutions, because you hear shit like this and it's permanently stapled in the back of your mind that these guys just don't like you and they don't like your way of life, okay? So Republicans can very easily turn around and weaponize that against, like, cultural issues and say they don't like you because you're transphobic, and you're not transphobic, you're actually applying common sense, because of course there's two genders, because that's all you've learned your entire life. And they're so good at being able to just fucking take the genuine disdain that liberals, Democrats, Republicans alike feel against the working class in this country, and turn it into a weaponized racial agitative propaganda to vote for one fucking party. Learned, it's a fact. Really? It's a fact? What do you mean? What's a fact? Explain to me what's a fact. Please tell me how the binary fucking concept of gender is actually not our social learning, and that's why we have such a rigid and outdated understanding of gender, especially when literally academia disagrees with you on this issue. And so do fucking biologists, by the way. Don't even try to fucking do that like I have. I listen to one reactionary biologist. Even biological sex is not fucking binary.
Hassle.
Oh, Lord, okay, there are blah, 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 Q genders and horse gender is real. That's so funny that, again, when you are shoved into a fucking proverbial locker, okay, intellectually by a dumbass himbo like myself, you immediately resort to, oh, they actually attack helicopter. It's so fucking stupid. Why don't you, instead of doing this, not look like such a moron, okay? Because I know that the follow-up is going to be, oh, you're so triggered, you're a child. I'm not. I'm trying to use this as an opportunity for you to learn, okay? This is what I do. You are wrong. You could fucking learn from your mistake. That's what adults do. That's what people with more than one fucking brain cell do. So please learn from your mistake and actually learn about biological gender in the way that you understand it, so that maybe you won't look like such a fucking dumbass in company that is a little bit smarter than you, I guess, or rather more educated than you in this with respect to gender. Because unfortunately, you right now sound like one of those people who's like, the world is flat, idiot. Like, open a fucking book. That's it. That's what you sound like. You might think that the world is flat. It might feel flat to you, but we know it's not fucking flat.
Letting the economy move slowly back to full employment would put millions of Americans at risk of lower wages and permanent scarring for their long-term incomes. So we see a better way if we move quickly and aggressively now to actually get shots in people's arms, to get this economic recovery accelerated. We can move much more quickly back to full employment. And in fact, that's what the CBO, that's what that CBO analysis indicated.
Hey, Brian, it's Willie Geist. What is the plan going forward on the minimum wage? We heard from the Senate parliamentarian last night, that the Senate cannot include the $15 minimum wage in this COVID relief package. There are still many, many people, Democrats and Republicans in this country, who would like to see it raised, who need to see it raised. So what's the strategy moving forward if it can't be in this big bill? Will you carve out
There's actually a risk that if too much money goes to the poor, it'll cause an increase in interest rates and butterfly effect into massive inflation. Our economy could actually use a little bit of inflation at this point and collapse the economy worse than 2008. Like, literally reconsider what you're saying. What is the fucking purpose of the government if they can't control this sort of shit? It is such a dumbass fucking take, okay?
Separate legislation to raise the minimum wage?
Well, look, we were disappointed by the parliamentarian.
Like, this take is so fucking dumb because the minimum wage hasn't increased, but inflation is constantly happening. So what's going on there? Like, maybe there's some other factors that are involved in it.
Ruling, and it was President Biden who put the minimum wage in his American Rescue Plan because we believe it's a justified and in fact urgently needed step forward. Passing the minimum wage would get a raise to 27 million Americans. Most careful economic analysis shows that this is an effective way to raise the wages of low-income Americans with a very de minimis impact on employment. And so we think it's the right thing to do. We're going to consult with our congressional allies, congressional leadership today to talk about a path forward on how we can make progress urgently on what is an urgent issue. And at the same time, we need to act on this American Rescue Plan. As we were just talking about, the need is urgent. And as hopeful as we all are about the trajectory of this virus, there are still real risks out here, and we need to act urgently now.
But there are some progressives and a lot of people in the country who are worried that the minimum wage piece is going to fall by the wayside now that it's been disallowed by the parliamentarian. But the president is still committed to getting a 15.
The problem is that making a $15 minimum wage disproportionately burdens areas with low cost of living, which overwhelmingly tend to be rural, white, and conservative. What do you mean burdens areas with low cost of living? How is there a burden there? I'm so confused. You make it seem as though a $15 minimum wage is going to be adjusted, is going to fucking destroy the economy. Like, you're taking that as a fact. There's a premise there that's hidden that you immediately assume. You're making an assumption. You are saying that lower cost areas are not going to be able to deal with prices increasing for certain fucking goods. Okay? It's not disruptive. It's not disruptive in the way that you think it is, especially because people are going to have more purchasing fucking power. It's not even instant. There is a number if you increase the minimum wage to would be disruptive. $15 is not that. Okay? If you were to say, like, we need to do a fucking $100 minimum wage, then sure, that would be fucking disruptive. And if you were like, $100 minimum wage tomorrow, yes, that would be disruptive. But the number as it stands at $15 is not disruptive even remotely, considering the fact that inflation has been happening regardless of the fucking minimum wage not increasing. And by the way, speaking of which, if there's more fucking purchasing power, or if there are too many problems, hey, why don't we just fucking, if the deficit is fucking increasing and ballooning, then there are some things you can do, okay, to cool it down a little bit. What do? I don't know. Maybe fucking raise taxes for the wealthy and corporations of the goddamn country instead of fucking trying to kick the economy into overdrive at a time when we've had quantitative easing for like the past however many decades.
Is communism and then no iPhone. So then what?
Mr. Nanashad doesn't understand that an increase in interest rates leads to market stabilization and GDP growth in the future. It's literally one of the only good marks of Reagan's economic policy. Companies like Costco are just going to start doing it themselves and stragglers will be outed as turd wagons. No, that doesn't work that way because companies have been doing that already. It doesn't work that way. The increase to $15 minimum wage is good for literally the same places that are arguing against it, okay? It's actually just for fucking Missouri. It's just for Arkansas. It's literally just for Mississippi, okay? This federal mandate is good for the fucking places that are arguing against it the most aggressively, like West Virginia. Don't throw up question marks when in California we already have a $14 or $13 minimum wage depending on your company size. Okay? Okay, so that's number one. There will also be positives for a place like California as well. The positives will be that now that the minimum wage at the federal level is adjusted to $15, then you can argue for an even larger percentage of the profits. The problem is minimum wage is not a perfect fucking solution. A better solution, which is still not a fucking perfect solution, would be to have unions be able to negotiate their wages. But we can't have that, so we have to fucking work with this Band-Aid solution.
Which more revenue. Rich people don't spend excess income. Poor people
Nothing is wilder to me than literal fucking workers advocating against the policy that would, on average, in a state like West Virginia, for example, increase their wages by $4,000 a year. Okay? Like, you are literally fighting against your best interest openly and deliberately. Okay? What happens to other people who go to school for a job that people making minimum wage make more? That's not fair. Legit question. Wait, what? I'm so confused. Are you telling me that, like, you know, a scientist is, or whatever the fuck in your mind is, like, going to a job that's, like, currently at $15? So now, like, I don't know. So now someone else is going to make $15 and that's unfair? It's still minimum, idiot. If minimum wage is $15, then you're not going to fucking make less than that. What kind of fucking take is this? So why go to college then? You guys are, oh my God, this is incredible. Okay. Guys, if the minimum wage increases, then the price floor for fucking wages increases, okay? So now you have a better bargaining position to say, well, I'm not going to make $15 an hour. I mean, you're now in a better position to advocate for higher wages for yourself, which is why it will drive up wages across the board. I will never understand this take. It's the same energy that people have when we are having a conversation around student loans. Like, well, I paid my student loans. Like, why should other people who can't pay them get debt relief? It's like, dude, just because you suffer doesn't mean other people should suffer too. That says a lot about you more than the fucking policies that you advocate for. Do you understand? Our purpose should not be to enact cruelty to others. When you experience something that's fucking awful, your goal shouldn't be other people should literally feel the exact same kind of cruelty that I felt. We should subject other people to the same harm that I felt. It should be, we should make sure that other people do not feel the way that I do right now. What the fuck is wrong with your brain that you hear this and you go, well, that's unfair. I felt this kind of cruelty, then others should too. That's why I get so triggered when morons say things like, well, I'm a legal immigrant, but I don't know but other immigrants fucking come to the country legally. Like, shut the fuck up. Literally dumbest streamer, lol. I swear, you sounded smart until this. You understand cost of living, bro? You sound so dumb, bro. Just stop it. So does cost of living. That's not how that works. It's embarrassing to watch, lol W. Going forward, if you're not going to fucking actually deliver an argument and instead just say stupid things like, lol, you're so dumb, I'm going to ban you because you are not being productive. All you're doing is just trying to make yourself seem smart by saying that another person is dumb. We are not stupid enough to fucking think that you are smart just by saying someone else is dumb. Whenever I engage in ad hominem attacks, I oftentimes will follow through by talking about why you are a fucking moron, okay? I don't just say you're dumb and move on. I tell you why you're a fucking brain-dead idiot, very carefully explaining why your position is not well thought out. Okay. You'd ban them even if they were providing an argument because you're an echo chamber streamer? People have said that this is an echo chamber. Oh, he's fucking baiting. I was going to say, people say this is an echo chamber, but the echo chamber keeps growing, brother. It kind of sounds like the people that fucking keep crying about the echo chamber are just jealous of its size and its influence and its growth. So I'm just going to fucking do that going
Good
forward.
Content lately, Arjan.
Might be an echo chamber, but it's an echo chamber that keeps growing, so get mad. Stay mad. If everybody's wages will increase with this bill, doesn't the cost of living increase as well? I thought companies would increase their prices accordingly in those cases. Yes, the cost of living might actually increase by a small margin. Not in a way that would disrupt your fucking way of living. Companies will still lie and say, oh, this is going to destroy businesses and make companies unsustainable and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is it has not fucking happened to Costco, as I also pointed out. It has not happened to Starbucks, as I also pointed out. It didn't even fucking happen to Amazon, as I pointed out. Okay? So why the fuck is it going to magically happen now? And the cost of living in other areas has increased regardless of the lack of wage increases. So it turns out there's other factors that are involved in it. Okay? And to the people who think you're going to fucking pay $40 for a Big Mac, do not be delusional. In a place like Denmark, Big Macs cost like what, 20 cents more? How are you so fucking big brain Econ Andy, and yet you literally cannot look in front of your eyes? You cannot look beyond your horse blinders that you have to see that, the cost of living is not going to increase by a size that is unsustainable. I support increasing the minimum wage, but I understand it hurts when a minimum wage worker makes as much as a person with a bachelor's degree. I think wages, yeah, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. Wages are too little, but if you see a fucking person flipping burgers making $15 and that triggers you, you're a fucking moron. Okay? You literally, it's the most pathetic position you can have. I'm not gonna put the kitty gloves on here. I'm gonna tell you how it is. Like, being upset that other people are doing more than you because you consider their work to be lesser than yours is psychotic. It's totally psychotic. And this is a Matt Christman take, okay? You tie your personal worth to your salary and your job. And you recognize that you have no worth in the eyes of the mega corporation that you work for. That's why when other people increase their fucking living conditions or improve their material conditions by successfully advocating for higher wages, you feel like it takes away from you. It comes from a place of insecurity because you are not secure with your position in life. You are not secure with your bargaining power. And if a burger flipper makes the same amount of money that you do, all of a sudden you are worthless because you think the burger flipper is worthless because you think what he's doing is not significant. But without the fucking burger flipper, without the janitor that cleans the toilets, this society would not run. But the bosses that you look up to that fuck you every goddamn day are less important than the burger flipper, despite the fact that it's more competitive. What they're doing is technically seen as more competitive and therefore more worthwhile. A company can operate without a CEO. A company cannot operate without someone cleaning the fucking toilets and someone flipping the fucking burgers, which is why we always say in leftist circles, there is no value without labor.
Billionaires are laughing at these poors in fighting.
Oh. Maybe they feel like their education don't matter rather than people being egotistical and insecure. If you're putting others down because you feel like your education doesn't matter, you are literally being egotistical and insecure, though. Like, saying that burger flippers don't deserve a living wage is insane. Let me tell you this much.
I need help.
It's so fucking insane that even most conservatives do not fuck up and make such a pathetic take. They will say instead that burger flippers are young. They don't need that kind of money because it's a minimum wage job. It's still a lie, okay? Because most minimum wage workers are still over the age of 18. They're not like just fucking, high school students or whatever doing minimum wage jobs for a little bit of pocket change on the side. High school students doing a minimum wage job should still be paid adequately and fairly, by the way. Just because they're fucking high school students doesn't mean you can get away with paying them less. Fuck you. Okay? And lastly, at least those conservatives know the correct talking point that seems a little less foolish and a little less cruel than, well, I just feel bad that like a burger flipper who's meaningless, whose work is unfulfilling and worthless, should not get paid as much as me. Even fucking conservatives know the better talking point there.
Strange times, we're living in panic and hysteria. Poor man learn the rich man don't care for ya. Narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America. From Money Game Part 2 by Ren. Check it out on YouTube.
Yes, the majority of the minimum wage worker marketplace is not fucking $15. I agree. I'm insecure. I work a corporate job and definitely not being paid enough. I'm not saying burger flippers don't deserve a living wage, but I just hope this brings the low wages of all workers to light. Dude, no one is saying that like you deserve less. Okay.
You're on fire today, King Hassel.
So what is the incentive for educational jobs if they're the same for uneducated labor? The main incentive nowadays is wages. What instead? Why do people just think that like educated labor jobs or professions are going to somehow magically stay the same in their pricing, and minimum wage workers are going to start magically making $15 an hour? If minimum wage workers are making $15 an hour, now business owners need to remain competitive and fucking try to win over educated workers, okay? So now they have to increase the fucking prices or increase their wages. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? This argument is so silly because you're basically saying the coercive elements that currently exist, the poverty trap, the debt trap that currently exists to create a sustainable economy for us that keeps millions of people in horrific conditions, needs to maintain itself by subjecting millions of people to that kind of cruelty, the cruelty of of structural poverty, just so we can keep eating fucking $5 Big Macs instead of $5.20 Big Macs.
Ajan and chat hassle.
Anyway, $40 Big Macs. Yeah, that's why people pay $40 in Denmark for Big Macs, right? In Norway, Big Mac is $40, right? No, it's not that. So shut the fuck up, dumbass. You can just say $40 all you fucking want. Okay. I have to run an ad because it's the top of the fucking hour, every hour where we do a 60-second ad break, and it's time again, and I totally forgot again. So I'm going to do that right now. If you no longer want to see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free. I totally forgot before I move on to the hot laps. I have one more take on the fucking Democrats totally destroying their chances of electoral success in 2022 by abandoning the $15 minimum wage argument. Okay? But before I do that, here's the ad. And before I run the ad, like I said, if you no longer want to see the